Hello everyone, I am the Old Connoisseur, and welcome to my thoughts/review on the 23rd episode of the 6th season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, also known as Where the Apple Lies. This episode was a above average episode in my opinion. It really clearly showed you the values of truth and honesty, and showing you how lies can ball up into a big ball that eventually explodes into, ironically, the truth that you lied. I like how this episode progresses, because while I like moral progression, and I don't like the moral being thrown in your face, this one does it, but at the same time escalates it until you basically say to yourself, alright, we get it, but not too late. Enough so that it's enjoyable, it's sort of comedic, and it's, well, it's really good in the message that it teaches. The episode starts off with Applejack and Big Mac selling Zap Apple Jam to Filthy Rich, and this shows continuity to Zap Apple Jam, but it also shows how close the Rich family and the Apple family are, and they're really contrasting families. One of them is country-based, one of them is rather city-based, even if they live in Ponyville. And it just shows how families in Ponyville and probably in Equestria can form these bonds, and how lovely it is. We see that Apple Bloom is rather confused about what boxes she put what in, and we don't know if she sold the Zap Apple Jam or the cider to Filthy Rich, and it ends up that she lies, and the one thing that I don't like about that scene is how Applejack doesn't see through Apple Bloom's lies. Those facial expressions are a little too obvious in my opinion. Applejack should be experienced with lying, especially given the story that's about to be told. We're then showed a story from in between Applejack being the tiny baby self that said, "Can I have more apple fritters?" to where she is today. Unfortunately, we don't see anything about her parents, which sort of stinks. I think a lot of people were really expecting that, so it's a little bit of a disappointment. But nonetheless, her overall design and voice, along with Big Mac's, is really nice. I mean, the Fluttershy thin legs work really nicely, and the whole brother-sister bond, even though they're fighting, they love each other. You could see it. They obviously cared about each other because Big Mac was trying to do what Applejack was asking. And that shows a caring brother, even if it was subtle. So, the main point of this entire flashback is how Applejack is trying to preserve the bond between the Apple family and the Rich family. And at first it was sort of joking, or at least half joking, half serious. Applejack was saying, oh, I'm going to make this great deal, and I'm going to use my brains and not my brawns, and show that I can be the head of the farm. And obviously we know that by the end of this, neither of them are going to be the head of the farm, because right now Granny Smith is still alive and she's still kicking, so she's going to be in charge. The entire episode basically revolves around Applejack running around back and forth and making these antics and lies, but it's in a funny manner. But we can't excuse that, because you might think that Applejack, oh, she's the elements of honesty. She must tell the truth a lot, especially when she was younger. If anything, when she's younger, she's more mature, she probably is going to lie a lot more, and we know that she even lies now in the present. So, it's not such a surprise to see her lying. I think that it's a little too much, but I still think that it's funny, and it's really entertaining. And we see how it ends up going from the farm to inside the house to protect the secret that Granny Smith is sick with the apple blight. And the apple blight ties in really just as a comedic purpose, because it's sort of like, I guess you would say, a MacGuffin. The whole apple blight being used as a reason for the sickness and for why they need to make a deal because they can't sell much at the farm because of the blight. And at the very end, when Granny Smith explains, as they're fading away, the whole story, it's really a MacGuffin. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically something used to drive the plot forward. And that's basically the main lie. There are other lies like Granny Smith being sick, having to go to the hospital to give a speech about the apple blight to the doctors and how other ponies can get this apple blight. And we see Big Mac saying over and over to Applejack, it's going to be worse, stop lying, it's escalated too far. And it's, again, an irony. You would think that Applejack would really represent the elements of honesty here. But when you think about it, it's Big Mac. Big Mac isn't lying by talking a lot, that's just what he did. He was the most truthful pony in this episode. And it's just an irony, and I don't think a lot of people noticed that. And it's true. Nothing that he said was a lie. I don't like that he took it a little too far when he said that he shouldn't talk so much, and now he's into the hardly talking, shy, rather introverted pony that we know today, except we know that he talks a lot, privately usually. It's just a little too far of a notch taken down. With that being said, to recap, Applejack, throughout this flashback, is lying, and it balls up, gets more hectic, gets more exciting and entertaining, and then eventually boils over where Applejack just says to every pony in the room, I've lied, this is it, here's the truth, I'm sorry, I meant for it to be the best. And this is at least a better side of lying, because some people will lie intentionally just to preserve their own truths. That might maybe keep them in power, might make them feel better, might be a secret, and this is at least a better kind of lying because it's to preserve a bond. It's for a good reason, basically. It's not with malicious intent. Anything that Applejack was thinking in this episode, she never expected it to escalate, she expected it to end, and the result was that it escalated. And that's why her finally speaking up is a good thing. Of course, we could all say she should have done it to begin with. I agree 100%. But it wouldn't have helped Apple Bloom as much, because the more that Applejack lied in this story, again, indirectly and unintentionally, helped Apple Bloom in the long run. So, it really did help Apple Bloom. And the bond between the Rich family and the Apple family still exists better than ever. They're still selling jam. Rich was even trying to apologize, saying, I didn't even mean to sell anything other than Zap Apple Jam. I didn't mean to sell cider. And, you know, it's really wholesome. And I enjoyed it a lot. With that being said, I'm going to have to give the episode a 7 or 8 out of 10. The intentional lies were intentional to the episode. The animation, the facial expressions were really good. And I enjoyed seeing all these antics, and I enjoyed seeing Apple Bloom learn the lesson, and even extrapolate the lesson, and talking so maturely. Good job, Apple Bloom, for saying that it basically shows that you're not going to be right the first time. You're not going to be that perfect, honest Applejack the first time. You're going to lie, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to learn from it. And it's a great lesson to learn. So with that being said, please share your thoughts below. One question that I want to ask all of you is, if we were to have another episode where we get a flashback to one of the main sixes, and I guess Starlight too, who would it be? Twilight, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, Starlight? Who would you want it to be? With that being said, I thank you for your time. Stay tuned because we're almost done with this season. Thank God there's a season 7. And of course I'll see you in the next video, so goodbye.